Hey guys, Spud here, as always, and thanks for joining me over the beautiful mountains of Patagonia as we engage in an exercise with some Chilean F-16s. Now I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce you guys to some brand new AWACS tools and navigational tools that we now have available to us in the F10 map by default in DCS. This is going to be absolutely awesome for those of you guys who would like to fly as a GCI or AWACS controller in a mission, but don't necessarily want to spend the money on an external program like LOTATC. You're basically going to have exactly the same functionality as LOTATC, but built right into DCS World. Now, you're not going to have nearly the same fidelity of controls, like being able to see like taxiway names on airports, things of that nature, but it'll do pretty darn well in a pinch. So with that in mind, guys, let's go ahead and hop over to the F10 map. And the first new addition that should jump out at you right away is this big pink compass rose right here in the middle of our screen. This is going to be a fantastic addition to DCS, especially for those of you guys out there who like to fly some of the older aircraft that tend to rely more on radio navigation than they do on internal INS or GPS-based systems. This new compass rose is going to allow you to find the declination between true and magnetic north very, very easily and very, very precisely. All we have to do is simply click and drag on the compass rose and put it over the point of interest that you're trying to navigate to. So for this example, let's use Rio Gallegos Airport. We just put the very small little plus sign in the very middle of our compass rose right on top of the airport. And it will give us up top here next to the star your magnetic declination between true and magnetic north. This is going to be very, very important for folks who like to, say, fly the Mirage F1 CE, and they have to know the precise magnetic declination to make sure that they are calculating their waypoint offsets correctly to navigate around the map precisely. Now, before DCS 2.8, DCS World on the F10 map only displayed true north, and we had to use kind of more or less an averaged out magnetic declination for the entire map. This led to small errors that would compound themselves over time to create larger and larger and larger errors as you flew further and further across the map. This could mean that you would miss your target entirely and maybe bomb the wrong thing, which could have very bad consequences. Or maybe you're flying home and you miss your home airport entirely, and now you're low on gas and have to eject, and now that's a wasted airframe because DCS World did not properly show magnetic declination. Now, of course, on the compass rose, just like any other kind of plotter tool you would find in any mission planning or navigational planning or flight school room anywhere in the world, we've got our magnetic heading on the inside of the compass rose, and we've got our true heading along the outside of the compass rose out here. Very useful, very functional. And we can see the difference between magnetic and true heading here, denoted by the little arrow between the two. So we can see that magnetic north is actually 10 degrees true north here. They are very close to that. And as we move the compass rose around the map, we can see that little arrow moving in time and in concert with the declination displayed up here. Very cool stuff. And I wouldn't imagine that DCS would have such a animation like that on the F10 map. But it works very well, and it's a pretty awesome addition. Now, moving on from there, an addition that's come over to the F10 map from the actual mission editor is going to be the ability to lay a line and draw something with the ruler without having to come up to the top row of icons to actually hit the ruler and then draw one and then leave a permanent line across the map until you click on the ruler button again. Now, if you click in your mouse wheel, which is usually mouse button 3 if I'm not mistaken, you can draw a very temporary line across the mission editor, the F10 map. And once you click the mouse wheel again, it will go away. So very cool, very functional there. And if we zoom in here to make it a little easier to see, we can now see we have magnetic heading on our new line, which is very, very cool and very useful addition, especially for those guys who need to navigate more with their instruments inside their airplane rather than with an INS or GPS using basically made up waypoints. So we can see that we have a magnetic heading of 070 degrees with a true heading of 079 degrees. Now, always keep in mind that the nautical miles, the distance measured by the ruler on the F10 map or in the mission editor, is just simply a ground track. It's not some weird like DME thing that is used to calculated by nearby, ground-based navigational aids or anything like that. It's just simple ground track. So very, very cool stuff there that is going to increase the functionality of the navigational tools in DCS by a whole bunch and make it just so much easier to navigate around the map with some of those older aircraft. Now, moving into our little example here with our F-18s and some of these Chilean F-16s, we'll get into some of the additions that's going to make it very fun and very easy to play in AWACS while in DCS World. First thing is there's some changes to the labels for the aircraft on the F10 map. Something that jumps out right away is we have the altitudes for our various aircraft labeled right underneath them here, with F-16s at 30,000 feet, 18,000 feet, and 25,000 feet. Our FA-18s over here are just flying around at 14,900. If we click on the Show Labels button here, we now have the ability to see the call sign of the aircraft. So check 1-2, check 1-1, which you'll also notice there's some new call signs available to you in the mission editor, which is pretty cool, but I really hope that one day we get the ability to just type in our own call signs. New call sign here is going to be your player name for that aircraft. Mine is just new call sign because I haven't made a new pilot for single player. And of course, we can see down here just the aircraft type as well on the side there. A note, if you are in fog of war mode, you will not see the aircraft type. On red aircraft, you will only see that on blue aircraft. They kind of more simulate what an AWACS controller would see. So additionally, there's some additional stuff that we have here that allows us to operate as an AWACS controller, is if we click on this button right up here, on/off Bullseye reference, we can turn on a reference from Bullseye here at the airport at Puerto Natales to our mouse. And it just stays there and we can move it around until we turn that off. So let's say if our blue FA-18s here wanted a picture call, let's say we could say, well, picture, we got 3 groups, multiple groups. We've got guys down here at Bulls 160 for 52, second group Bulls 192 for 20, and third group Bulls 209 for 14. And then additionally on that, when we have this new functionality turned on, the Bullseye reference, we can also still draw lines very, very easily. So let's say we had told this group check 1-1 and flight to commit on the first group down here, and they wanted a bra call to that bandit. Let's say we could just use the new functionality here, and we could say bra 160 for 170 at 25,000 very, very easily. So it's a great new functionality for DCS World that's going to allow players who are interested in GCIing to just do it very easily and very functionally from the F10 map in a mission rather than having to spend that money to hop over to a program like LOTATC. Now, again, LOTATC is going to have a lot more fine controls because it's really, really designed to simulate being a GCI or AWACS controller. But this is going to work really well. And it makes me very excited to see what Eagle Dynamics has coming down the pipeline to maybe integrate more of the functionality of LOTATC into DCS World itself. Like, for instance, it'd be very, very cool if we could, say, zoom into an airport here and not just see the actual parking spot numbers, but say see taxiway signage and things like that to give players, say, taxi instructions, things of that nature. So that's kind of all I've got for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I really hope you enjoyed some of the new stuff that's being added in 2.8. There are a lot of things that weren't necessarily added to the changelog that were added to the game that make a big difference, like all of this stuff that we talked about today. So fly safe out there, guys, and have a great rest of your day. And please give it a like and subscribe.